My log has something to tell you.
Ghosties, ghoulies, poltergeists, UFOs, goblins, Bigfoot, aliens, demons, Mothman, the Flatwoods monster, various different oddly shaped humanoids, and Chupacabra stepping through the veil to touch you. All interrelated events here to open our minds. Government experiments gone wrong. Horrible branches of evolution yet to be fully discovered. All the above. Tonight, we explore every single angle of that aspect and more. When we get into my absolute favorite of all favorite subjects and connections of lights in the sky and creatures running by. Are they separate phenomena happening all at the same time in the same area where people are just seeing stuff boom, 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 shoot around the sky, and then a Bigfoot in their yard, or a Chupacabra kills all their chickens, or other stories where goblins peer through their window and throw rocks at them all night? Just a coincidence? Are these UFOs dropping them off? Is it something more? Are they interdimensional? Are they government experiments? Escaped and attacking or testing? Little tests on us? Like, you know, old Uncle Sam and all the other uncles and big brothers around the world are known to do to their citizens. That is what we explore tonight. So let us waste no more time. And let's get into the nasty. Let's get into that research, that reading. Ooh, the stuff that comes from books in the wasteland. Every step taken tonight is a step further into the conspiracy uncle zone. Each theory and idea comes from beyond the veil. Real or not, it's going to be pretty cool. So buckle up. When one first dives into the cryptid zone, the Bigfoot zone, the Chupacabra zone, the jackalope zone, whatever you want to call it, usually you're drawn to the idea that these creatures are just undiscovered animals on the branch of cryptozoology, the branch of biology or animal biology. Because as we know, way back in the day, there was a symposium, and I forget the names and I forget the dates, so Google it. But the main scientist dude was like, you know what? There will be no more large mammals discovered. We've found them all. And it was like in 1875. I'll fact check it and put it up here for the YouTubes. And that was at a symposium of other animal biologists. Not a decade later, we discovered the lowland gorilla or the mountain gorilla. So go figure. Mainstream science will come out and say one thing, kind of close their minds to the whole spiel. Then anything weird this just gets thrown out. But you know, there's blind spots. That's all I'm saying. So that's the first theory typically about cryptids or weird animals. It's just some creature we haven't seen. The Chupacabra, the weird flying bat gargoyle. Oh, that's just something that remains hidden. That's why we haven't found any bones. You know, it's just a really hidden animal. So that's theory one. That's one you could always go with. It's one I used to go with. It's not my favorite anymore. It's a little boring now. You know, I like to have a little fun. With my theories. Number two is, now this one's a little more interesting. This is that the cryptids and the weird creatures are leftovers. They came here with extraterrestrials at one point, either as passengers or as pilots, and they were left behind, or they're just here now living in secret. A third, and the most modern, the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, and this was in 2024. Some academics at Harvard co-authored a speculative paper, and they talked about how cryptids and Bigfoot could be survivors from an ancient or lost civilization that still lives inside the earth, and these are like scouts or some shit, or underground, underwater. A non-human species that evolved on Earth in secret, possibly descending from the dinosaurs, or extraterrestrials who established a permanent hidden base on Earth long ago, or beings from folklore, fairies and elves, which we know fairy and elf sightings have been with us forever, and they line up exactly with how alien abduction sightings go, so they're pretty much the same thing. Anywho, but these ones whose actions are misinterpreted as technological or paranormal. So these folklore beings being real from another dimension. Basically, Bigfoot sightings are an encounter with a hidden native species, and UFOs are their vehicles. That's the third idea. I like that one too. That one's fun. My favorite, however, is the one put forth by Dr. Valet and Mr. Keel, two of the OG heroes of the unknown, two of the original guys who connected or created the paranormal umbrella and put poltergeist, UFOs, ghosties, ghoulies, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, aliens, and everything under the sun that's weird under one umbrella and connected them through cases that we're going to explore in a second. This hypothesis or theory is called the interdimensional hypothesis. And again, John Keel and Dr. Jacques Vallée were really big on this. They look at it as more that all of these things are part of a larger control system, if you will, or part of a larger consciousness that's pointing us in the direction of opening our minds to these greater ideas, to these greater powers that humans have, to this greater idea of love and connection, even, if you will. Because you'll see most encounters with true beings of the unknown, not some fucked up government experiment or fucked up government psyop, always end in love. If it's terrifying, chances are it's man-made. Don't fall for no alien invasion, no fake alien invasion. Don't make them make you fear Three-Eye Atlas. Love it. Because that's all that it is. Everything beyond us, everything above us is love. If it's a consciousness above us, it knows that the only true emotion is love, so we got nothing to worry about. But if it is a alien invasion, it's still scary because if the government's behind it, they're going to create casualties. So you got to be careful. So just... But just know if it's real, don't fear. If you'd like a great story about that, I will be reading this month live from Communion, a terrifying tale that ends in love and understanding, as most alien abductions too. And I also have the Betty Andreessen case up already, another great example of this, what their message truly is. Don't fall for the alien invasion. Nothing is coming to enslave or oppress us except ourselves. But anywho, what the freaking fart am I talking about? Let's get back to the lecture at hand here. Essentially, everything is just a manifestation of the superconsciousness, something we're reading about in Stalking the Wild Pendulum on the Mechanics of Consciousness. And that's the book that's the CIA used to break open the minds of their own agents to access powers like remote viewing, which has been proven to be absolutely real, and we could all do it. I say control system, I don't mean an oppressive one, but more or less in a phenomena that's staged by a larger intelligence to help shape human culture and belief. And in most cases, open our minds to love and the other side. Everyone, all the thousands of people who have been abducted and come back and tell their tale, typically, in most cases, I've read about, I'm sure there's some outliers, so I only know from what I've have on my bookshelves. But from what I've read, people come back with a more open mind, they're more loving, they're living a whole different life after their experience with the others, whether it be the Greys, the Reptoids, the Insectoids, the Nordics, or whatever it is, whatever flavor they run into. So don't be afraid. That's all I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying. Now back to what I was originally saying, which is lights in the sky and creatures running by being absolutely connected. We start with a case I yap about a lot, and I'm going to yap about one more time, the last time, and that is the case of the Hopkinsville Goblins. 1955, outside of Kelly, Kentucky. Reports of strange lights seen in the sky. One of these reports is made by a police officer. Hours later, a family in Kelly, Kentucky, on their ranch or on their plot of land, experience a night of absolute terror. The uncle in the backyard having a smoke, having some uncle time, as unks like to do, peering into the sky. He notices a light slowly descend, looking like a star at first. It gets bigger and bigger, and then it descends beyond the tree line. Freaked out about this, he goes inside, he gets the boys, he's like, guys, there's I think a UFO just landed. I think we should go check it out. Like, okay. They get their flashlights, they get their guns, they go check it out. They leave. The family's left in the house. A couple of minutes later, they come running back terrified. What they saw was little beings exiting a craft and moving through the tree line towards them. They turned around and fired at one, and when they fired at it, it was hit and it rolled back, but it got back up and floated away. The beings appeared to float towards them, much like how Chupacabra and Mothman have been reported to move. all in the same fashion. They get inside, they barricade, they wait. All of a sudden, they hear at the door, at the roof, and then crash. One of the windows breaks, and one of the creatures peers inside. One of the family members turns around, shotgun blast, pa-pow! Right in the monster's face. It rolls back again, gets up, and floats away. This goes on for hours, until at 3 a.m. the family makes their escape, and they go to the sheriff's office, where they report what happens. The sheriff is like, family seemed pretty legit because they were all freaking terrified. So he sent himself and a squad out there to check it out. They didn't find anything, but they did notice off in the distance a very faint glow in the woods. No one went to investigate that because it disappeared before anyone could, but that was noted in the police report. This sighting gets so much attention that it's reported in the media. Project Blue Book comes by and checks it out. Project Blue Book, actually, this is one of their unknowns. The Hopkinsville Goblins. It's one they can't explain with swamp gas or some other stupid shit. So pretty cool. And it gets media attention. So much media attention that all the cryptid looky-loos we love to talk about go come out to be, oh, I want to hear about your story. I want to see the goblins. So much so that the poor family feels harassed and they don't really talk to anyone else and they move. And that is the story of the Hopkinsville Goblins. Lights in the sky, creatures running by, a public goes into frenzy, a family goes into seclusion. If I know anything about seclusion, it really makes you, look inward. So maybe the family looked inward and they're in better spiritual. They're able to handle being harassed by everybody a little bit better. Let's hope. That was 1955. Now let's fast forward to a shockingly similar case in 2023 with the Vegas alien encounter. Late in the evening, a police officer catches on his body cam a light in the sky. Just like in 1955, a police officer catches, without a body cam, a light in the sky, but reports it. Several hours later, a family is terrorized by a 10-foot tall, invisible, shape-shifting creature that's caught on camera. It's not as harrowing as the Hopkinsville Goblin tale, because, we're in the age of information, the age of connection. The family's able to call the cops a lot sooner. They have cell phones. These creatures know that. They don't want to be seen. They poof the fuck out of there. However, what is the same is the family, very shortly after telling their tale, because of us dumbasses, us, the masses, bothering them, they don't really talk about it anymore. Also, with both these cases, let us not forget about the children of Roswell, where the children of the folks who were alive and experienced the aliens and alien crashes at Roswell, there were multiple, report on how intimidating and scary the government was. So let's not ever count that out, that these people were visited by the so-called men in black, whether they were the interdimensional ones or just the scary government ones, and told to shut the fuck up about what happened to them. Or they were just annoyed by people bothering them and they don't talk about it anymore. 1955, 2023. Lights in the sky, creatures running by. If it is extraterrestrials, it's kind of like, what the fuck? Why would they just be stopping off to throw rocks at us and scare us? It just seems really weird that they land in a craft and they're here just to bother us. That's just number one. And number two, they fit kind of like an image of what people at this time would be afraid of, right? 1955, alien fiction back then, science fiction back then. What do the aliens look like? They're little gremlin people. What do the family encounter? Little gremlin people. 2023, what's more terrifying? What's more modern? An invisible predator like 10-foot tall shapeshifter, chameleon. What's the family encounter? A predator 10-foot tall chameleon like shapeshifter. Not to say that what the entity they're encountering isn't real, just saying it morphs. It's part of a larger consciousness. It meets us at where we are, so we would then understand what we're seeing as weird and beyond the veil. Just like in the 18th century or 17th century, let's say, they might interpret it as a demon, which is where our next case comes from. Let's go to 1620 now. In France, I'm not going to bother with the name of it. Look it up. It happened. It's in Dr. Jacques Vallée's book, Dimensions. 1620, France, the demon at the cathedral. Now, during that night, there was a thunderstorm. So lights in the sky were witnessed. A crack of thunder and then lightning strikes a lead pyramid that's on top of a cathedral. The pyramid falls into the middle of the town square and it's burning. As it's burning, People come out to witness it. What they see dancing around the fire is an 8-foot-tall green demon. This creature is reported by hundreds of people, including prominent people like, I don't know, the sheriff or whatever the fuck they call them in the town right there. The towny important people all saw this creature dancing around the fire for several hours. They tossed crosses onto the fire, which are made of wood, so it's like, I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do. But the demon persisted to dance around the fire. The fire would burn bright green, the demon would turn blue and then yellow. The only thing that made the demon go away, allegedly, was a nurse of above reproach. So someone so pure and good that no one could, don't even get near it, poured milk and threw consecrated, so blessed objects on it. And then the demon was like, ah! And it ascended, just like Mothman, just like Chupacabra, just like several other entities we've read about, and disappeared into the night. 1955, 2023, 1620. Lights in the sky and a creature terrorizing and running by. Which brings us to the 60s and the cycle of history and the parallels to our time right now. All I'll say is it could definitely be argued that a lot of the political strife and war strife around the world and in our country is very similar to what was going on not too long ago in the 60s. Also, during the 60s and the early 70s, there was a lot of weird shit going on in the Ohio River Valley and beyond. I'm talking about Mothman, I'm talking about frogmen, I'm talking about lizardmen. A rash of sightings, hundreds of sightings, thousands of sightings of strange humanoids all across the country, namely in places where there's UFO windows or UFO flaps, places where there's a lot of weirdness for a little bit, like the Ohio River Valley. And that's what we're going to explore a little bit right now. Starting, of course, with Mothman. In jolly old England first, in 1965, some kids see a red descend behind trees and a Mothman. They describe Mothman just how people in America describe it, this headless beast with red eyes and wings, ascends and spooks them and they run away. Then 66 through 67, the Mothman wave. I just did a video on that, so check that out if you're really interested in the detailed history of the Mothman. But typically, or all you need to know, is absolutely lights in the sky as well. So many lights in the sky, in fact, that people knew where to park. Thousands of people can attest to this during 66. The sheriffs could, local police, newspapermen, you name it. You park at a certain road in front of the McDaniels family house, if I'm not mistaken, and you'd be able to see UFOs nightly, or even encounter a ghost or a Mothman. One of the really interesting and unreported things about Mothman, beyond Indrid Cold. Now, Indrid Cold was an entity people saw during this time during West Virginia at the same time, to 66, 67. It was this really weird guy who had a real fucked up smile, and he'd call you on the phone and say, I'm Indrid Cold and I'm going to get you. Well, he wouldn't say that. He would say, I'm Indrid Cold and I'm going to call you again. And he'd ask you questions. He wasn't that scary. Also, a thing to look out for, the media loves to make aliens and interdimensional beings seem scary. They're not scary. They kind of seem scary, but typically they're here to just teach you about peace and love. However, Indrid Cold, along with Indrid Cold, the McDaniels family, and most likely other houses, because you know Jacques Vallée's rule of 10, if there's one report, there might be at least 10 unreported encounters. So the McDaniels family also encountered heightened poltergeist activity. A lot of ghost shit was going on in the area. So we had UFOs, we had Mothman, and we had poltergeist activity all going on at the same time. This stuff has been reported and double verified by people like John A. Keel and the good people of West Virginia who experience this shit. You can just discount it, call it hallucinations, call it like whatever you want, but I choose to believe they experienced something serious enough for them to go to the cops, for them to talk about it over and over, because you don't win anything from talking about this shit but ridicule and disrespect. Pretty much. And that's the Mothman. Again, if you're interested, I got another video about it, or go read about it. John A. Keel, it's a beautiful book, Strange Creatures from Time and Space, and or The Mothman Prophecies, Dr. Jacques Vallée's Dimensions. There's also some good Netflix stuff about the Mothman, I believe, or Mothman Prophecies itself with old Richard Gere. They do a decent job, even though they make it set in modern times. They do include Indrid Cold, though, which so I like that. That was great. Light in the sky, creature running by all over, seen by thousands of people. The final and most strange encounter with Mothman happened in West Virginia in 1967 when two ladies out and about witnessed a red orb ascend into the sky, and Mothman go and meet the orb. The two melded together, and then the orb boom, 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 went off into the atmosphere, off into space. Was that Mothman leaving for good? Shortly after, the tragedy of the Silver Bridge happened. Moment of silence for those victims. And that is the story of Mothman. And that, of course, leads us to the Flatwoods monster. Same freaking deal. I include it because 8 people saw this at once, including a dog. A light descend beyond the trees, and then a horrific monster approached them. It seemed to irradiate them and have a horrific smell. Very famous case. Check out my Backwoods Baddies video if you're interested in that one. Now, I know you're like, well, what about Bigfoot? You haven't talked about him. He seems just like one that would be here, right? One that would just be here on Earth, not like a weird one. Well, I got news for you. Several different sightings of Bigfoot also involve lights in the sky. Most notable, and again, I'm throwing this back to 1965, during the Great UFO Flap of America, when there were freaking Mothmen flying around in Brooksville, Florida. There was a UFO flap. Several people reported to authorities that they saw lights in the sky. One even said they saw something land for several minutes and then ascend back into the air. After those UFO sightings, several residents reported hearing shrill screaming deep into the night. Then one, Eula Lewis, reported seeing a menacing figure in her yard, a large, hairy humanoid peering into her windows and standing there. When she confronted the beast by shining a flashlight at it, it screamed and ran into the night. So we've gone from 1955, 2023, 1620, the great 1960s and 70s UFO and humanoid and creature flap. Now let us land in the beautiful 90s with El Chupacabra. Now you may think, what, El Chupacabra, that mangy dog the lamestream media reports about all the time that sometimes sucks the innards out of ranch animals? No, my friend. I'm talking about the true El Chupacabra, not the whitewashed Americanized version that's told to us now. The one that was first sighted in 1975 in Mocha, Puerto Rico, along with a UFO flap. From 1975 until 1995, the creature was sighted all over Puerto Rico, America, and also in Spain several different times, along with lights in the sky. It wasn't just El Chupacabra. There were lights in the sky. And the original El Chupacabra being reported wasn't some dog with mange or whatever the fuck they try and sell you now. It was a gargoyle-like creature, often reported with wings and glowing red eyes that looked kind of like a gray alien with claws. It would fly around, be very silent, suck all the blood and innards out of these ranch animals, out of your pets, out of whatever was being attacked, and then disappear into the night. Oftentimes, after these mutilations, people saw black helicopters in the area, which leads to maybe Chupacabra being a old government experiment. And we know the old story from Jorge Martin's radio show, where an alleged government agent called in saying they served with Chupacabras in Vietnam, seeing them in cages in deep underground labs. So El Chupacabra, kind of a complicated one, but again, very important to remember. It wasn't just Chupacabra sightings, it was sightings of lights in the sky. Which brings us to another point about sightings that get reported. Most often, and I'm going to use the case of Betty and Barney Hill here as an example, when people report their strange sightings to authorities, all they talk about are the lights in the sky that they saw. They don't talk about the weird missing time. Betty and Barney Hill, when they reported the sighting that they had to the military or the Air Force base near them, they just talked about the lights in the sky they saw. They didn't talk about the 2 hours of missing time they had, how they didn't realize how they traversed all this land without traversing it, if you catch my drift. Dr. Jacques Vallée, John A. Keel, in their books, they kind of point out that this happens often. The media will report the light in the sky, but they won't often report the creature running by because that's a little too weird. So dollars to donuts, whenever there is a report of a UFO or a UFO's in an area for an extended period of time, there's also other weird shit going on. It's either that or extraterrestrials are dropping these creatures off, or their government experiments escaping from the goo to get you. It could be any of them. I don't know. So fast forward to now, 2025. In the past 8 months, there have been about 270, now they're called UAP reports, to the government, to the Air Force. It's whoever the body that collects those reports. 270 lights in the sky reports. Stands the reason from everything we know about what we've read, that means there are definitely some motherfucking creatures running by right now. And if you look at the historical parallels in social issues, international issues, what political issues, however you want to put it, corruption issues, however you want to put it, the parallels between now and the 60s and the 70s are pretty profound. So dollars to donuts right now. There's some crazy ass creatures running around. And that 270 number, that's in the past 8 months. Times that by 10, we're talking at least 2,700 sightings of lights in the sky in the past 8 months. Because, 270, those are the people brave enough to report it to the government, then be maybe put on the list or called stupid by their neighbors. Or, if the case is weird enough, it gets leaked to the press and then people come like, ooh, I want to know. So what are you going to do? So there you have it. 16, 20, and also a lot older. We didn't get into it, but if you are into that, I have other videos about it. I have a read through of Dr. Jacques Vallée's Dimensions, or if you should pick it up and read it yourself. It's a super beautiful book that just combines all these experiences from truly time immemorial, from ancient times. And it shows that around the world, cultures have had these exact same experiences of alien abduction, of alien experiences, but through time they're just called different things, from jinn to demons and angels, and then to the modern era like gray aliens and all that stuff. And other cultures have other names for them. They're just slipping me now, but definitely check it out. I mean, especially with like the green lights being seen under the sea and that dark ring seen at Disneyland recently, which seems more like a government thing or like some mad scientist releasing something. Just saying, it's a weird time, man. I wouldn't be surprised if old Mafia shows back up. But that's my 2 cents. That's all I got for you. That's Monsters After Midnight. Thank you for joining me for a very special Theories Only edition. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be catching you all another time. Join me next week. We'll be continuing our journey through Stalking the Wild Pendulum. And after we wrap that up, we're going to get into weirder territory with Communion and a community recommended book about underwater aliens, which I'm ordering soon because I found a good copy of it. I'm super freaking excited to read that. So check me out or not. Have a beautiful rest of your night.